Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year's, but most of all, Happy Life Day. I'm Luke.
I'm Max.
And I'm Matt.
And this is Force for Thought. Hello, and welcome back to Force for Thought. Today we are celebrating the holidays by watching the Star Wars Holiday Special. It was my first time watching it. Boys, what'd you think? Have you seen it before? What'd you think of it?
I've seen it before, yes. I think I watched it more segmented last time. I feel like it's like a rite of passage, weirdly, to watch this. I'm glad you got to watch it for the first time. I'm sure you enjoyed it.
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but I am glad I got to watch it for
Yeah.
the first time, because if we didn't, that's just another reason I love having this podcast, because if I didn't have a structured reason to force myself to watch this, I know I never would have.
Then why?
I don't even watch movies from the 70s. I'm not going to watch a holiday special, let alone one that is so unanimously hated by everyone that's seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. I was really excited too for exactly what you said. I was like, oh, it's like a rite of passage, right? Like if you're a Star Wars fan, you got to watch the holiday special. You got to know what people are joking about, right? It's very infamous and just like cinema and TV history and everything. And I really wanted to come out of it with that feeling of like, wow, it was so bad, you have to watch it. But it was actually so bad that if you haven't seen it, don't watch it.
It's not. You can't recommend it. I was thinking about this while I was watching. I was like, for the show celebrating Life Day, I've never thought more about suicide and death.
Yikes. So for those of you that haven't seen it, which I'm just going to default to assume that none of our audience have seen it, because we hadn't before this week, and if you haven't, it's not like this is going to be an endorsement to go watch it now. So it's about Life Day, which is a Wookiee holiday, stand-in for Christmas. We don't learn any of the lore or anything around it, really.
Are you
other
sure
than,
it's for Christmas?
I mean, it was the holiday special. I mean, in real world, George Lucas made it as
I was
a stand-in.
doing a bunch of
thinking
research into this afterwards because I had to find out more about how this came to be. But apparently it aired like the
November.
It was like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So people were like, oh, like maybe it's a Thanksgiving movie. But there is an exchange of gifts, but it's really just from that one random guy who shows up.
The guy with the rug guy, the
Yeah.
merchant. I found
Sondan is his name.
Man, I want to just jump into so many different aspects, but I think
Feel free, because much like the holiday special itself, I do not have a structure planned. So
okay.
just
Well,
get
I can
into
go
it.
through it.
it's actually more thematic this way.
I found I don't know why it's exactly a holiday special as well. They also, the ending, they just pray at the end. The Wookiees hold hands and bow their heads, and that's how we fade out.
They do
It's
have
hilarious.
those cool robes, which
But
I had seen before, and I like those.
That'd be a good action figure.
Wookiees are
I saw-
consistently naked, but for
true.
religious purposes, they have robes, and I like that lore bit. Whether or not this is canon, which I
There's
hope it
no
isn't.
way. I mean,
It's not.
If
It's
it
not
is,
canon.
not, yeah.
Chewie is an absent father. like what is that? He's
that
equally
part
as bad
actually,
as Han.
that part kind of is canon. So they
He's
did
providing for his
recanonize.
family.
They did recanonize certain aspects of Life Day. The holiday does exist. It was actually
Yes.
canonized. There was a one-shot comic book called Life Day, and Chewie's son was canonized.
Lumpy?
Yes,
Did
but
they keep his same name?
his full name is Lumpawaru.
Yes, I was
But
just gonna say.
they call him Lumpy
right.
in the holiday special, but in the books they refer to him as Waru.
Yeah, all the characters I think have extended actual names.
Yeah.
And not like Lumpy.
The only one I couldn't find, I think, was Itchy, the grandpa.
Oh.
I don't know if he's been recanonized yet.
Oh, I don't know. But he's got a way different name though. It's
It's like
a
Anachatta.
Yes, I was like, how do you say that?
Yeah.
I'd be okay if they left him out of canon. He was probably my least favorite part.
Because
that
he's-
Wookiee was mean.
He's just sleeping on the couch all day. He's like the main character from All in the Family.
No, not sleeping. He was watching space porn.
I was
like
so
any good grandpa.
intrigued to finally watch that bit, because I've seen all the memes about space porn, and it was not as explicit as I don't know what I was expecting, but
For a 1978
if
TV
I had
special.
just seen this raw without any
kids.
expectations, I would thought of that scene as pretty weird. I do not think it's on the same page as space porn.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things to make fun of in this holiday special, and that is a little bit mean-spirited. I think that's one of the more not excusable, but it's just taken too far, I think.
There's
from people.
to go back to why this is potentially a holiday special. I found a quote from George Lucas. I mean, we all seen that those interviews with Harrison Ford, when it gets brought up, he denies even being in it. Mark Hamill, I think, has gone to great lengths and talked about, how terrible it is and stuff. But I found this quote from George Lucas when he was talking to Mark Hamill about it. And he said, "We really need to do this for the merchandisers and to keep the product alive in people's minds before the next movie. Do me this favor," which is what this exact quote apparently to Mark Hamill is. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It's like, I love the idea of the Star Wars holiday special, because it's 1978, if you're a kid and you saw Star Wars, you only see that in theaters. There's no home media. Mm-hmm. So this is Star Wars brought to your house, and especially in that time, it's like American Bandstand and all these other shows where it's a variety show. And that is what this is it's a variety show. The downside is that there's like no variety. It's just dumb shit left and right. Like, even for me, I'm like, oh yeah, B. Arthur is in this. Who doesn't love B. Arthur? She's great. Jefferson Starship's in this. This is going to be great. And somehow it is consistently disappointing and consistently being like, this shouldn't be in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And then the best part of it is obviously the cartoon. It's interesting. I would have loved I love that style of animation. It almost looks like it's 10 years ahead of its time, because it looks like, not 10 years, a couple of years, but it looks like the 80s G.I. Joe and even the 90s X-Men. It starts to get that vibe, and I'd love to see, honestly, a Star Wars show in that style, slightly updated. But even then, it's just a ripoff of Star Trek. I mean, they even have a captain's log that they go through, which is insane that they were just clearly just being like, we're going to steal that and make it our own.
It is definitely interesting. So, like you said, it is a variety show, but it's just it is like very, very loosely strung together with a plot, because all the varietal acts are just one of the characters turning on the TV and just watching something, which is weird, right? Because like we said already, like Itchy, the grandpa, turns on this VR headset and he's like in this immersive space porn situation, which is
he's
weird.
not in a space porn. It's a music video, which is weird to show a music video. But before the music video, there is a weird part where he's rewinding it, and he does rewind it to watch it twice. And the female artist is making it oddly sexual. It's not like nudity or any explicit content, but it is.
It's not.
It is sexual in its nature.
But it's just weird. All the acts were weird. The very first one, Lumpy turns on this hollow table, and it's just like a hologram of these just trapeze artists and like gymnastics, and
for minutes.
Yeah, it was weird how long it went on. That's how I felt about the entire thing. Every single thing went on a little bit too long, and then like 5 minutes longer yet.
If you had to guess how long this was, if you don't remember the runtime, how long do you think this is? Because in my mind, this should be 4 hours long when you look at it.
I checked how much time was left pretty frequently. I know it's an hour and a half.
Same. Me too.
Because I was watching it with my wife, and after the first 20 minutes, I paused it, and she was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, this is a full-length film."
That is a bad thing to show anybody, honestly. Like, it's
I
just
started
not fun to
watching it
watch.
with my wife, and she got up to go do something else. I was like, "Are you going to be offended if I go do something else?" I was like, "Actually, that's okay. No, I won't be."
I was debating watching with my wife, and I put it on the first 10 minutes. And I was like, "Oh, I can't do that to her." Like, the intro is so long, and it's so weird. It's always like, and also they're like Mark Hamill, but if you were a fan of Star Wars and you're just like, why is he so blonde randomly? Like, it's just so differently.
Yeah, he looked weird. That's another thing. I think that the memes and culture around the holiday special take it too far. That Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill were all in this, and it was so bad, and they hated it. They are barely in this. I was expecting them to be like titular characters.
No.
And no, they are
two
in
scenes each.
Each of them are in. I mean, Mark Hamill was in just one. I guess they were at the end.
Yeah.
But they could have filmed that in 4 hours on break while filming Empire Strikes Back. Like, I'm not surprised if Harrison Ford genuinely doesn't think he was in this.
Yeah. It's funny because he clearly doesn't want to be there. In the intro, and Harrison Ford is Han Solo, he literally just like looks and waves really quick, like, let's get this next take going. Like, he just no interest, which makes sense. But again, at the same time, I keep thinking about this to be like, man, it's 1978. Like, how cool would that to be to see Star Wars in your home? And it's like, you expect the lore to get brought out, right? You expect different things within this. You have a set standard now. And yet they just throw that all away. Like, the trapeze artists are so weird. Or like, if that was your second look into Star Wars, like, would that kind of reverse your thoughts on A New Hope? Which is at the time obviously not called A New Hope, but like, would you be like, I don't know if I want to learn more? Because
That's all I was thinking the entire time was,
Yeah.
man, I am so thankful that people still turned up for Empire Strikes Back
Yeah.
after this.
Yes.
It made me think a lot about like the history of TV and cinema and how they merge and the differences between them, because when The Mandalorian was coming out before, there was a lot of talk around if Star Wars could survive as a TV show, and I always thought that was silly because for as long as I've been alive, I mean, I have always liked watching TV shows, and as far as I could tell, I mean, I wasn't like a auteur or anything that could really decipher the quality difference, but I liked TV just as well as movies, and I never really saw a substantial difference in quality. But everyone just had this narrative that TV is of a lower quality than movies, and that's that. And I can see why, if you saw this holiday special on TV after seeing these movies, that you would carry that attitude with you for the next 40 years. So it's a bummer for the bad this has done for Star Wars and to the genre in general.
It's also funny to see like the Millennium Falcon, even though that clearly probably wasn't the actual set they used in the first movie. Like the
I disagree.
camera
I think
difference.
it-
Really?
Oh, you mean the actual cockpit?
Yes. Yeah. Because I just like,
Yeah, maybe that was different, but I was going to say they very obviously reused a lot of the same footage from A New Hope, and
Yes.
even within the movie, within the holiday special itself. I don't know if you guys noticed that there are multiple shots where I was like, I definitely already saw that shot once before.
of like the TIE fighters.
Multiple things. There's a shot of Mala where she's like reacting to Chewbacca, and then another one where she's reacting to Han Solo,
Yes.
and it's the exact same
well,
shot.
to be
tried
fair,
to-
how many times can you cock your head? Like that's all she does.
Two. That's
Also,
all she had to do. Just do it twice. But instead
going-
they were just like, oh, we can just reuse the first take. It was
That's
better
what you
anyway.
get for making a Wookiee a main character with no
That's
subtitles.
My biggest thing is whose idea was it to be like, we need to focus on not only Chewbacca, but Chewbacca's family. And then literally, I don't think they're speaking in it, excluding the credits, I think for like 15 minutes. It's just them walking around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then watching trapeze artists, and you're like, maybe as a kid in the 70s, I mean, that is impressive if you're thinking about it graphic wise for the 70s for a holiday special to be like, whoa, that's crazy. They're doing like, how did they key them out? Like, that is impressive for that time. But even if it's 1978 and I'm a child, I don't see myself being like, I want more of that. Please continue. Like, again, it's like in a variety show, it's like really interesting to see that stuff like done. But if you take away that magic and that mystery and being like, this is technologically advanced and they're holograms, it takes it away. So it's like undercutting what the performers are doing.
The idea to have it focus around the Wookiees and Chewie's family was
Yeah.
George Lucas's. It was big picture. He gave the idea down to a bunch of writers. Well, I think he gave it to like one writer, and then it
You
was
see those
passed
credits
down-
at the end?
Yeah, it was passed down to a different writer, and then a different, And I, in one of the least shocking bits of trivia I've ever read, one of the writers admitted to being heavily using cocaine while writing the holiday special, and I was like, yeah, no, we know.
No, yeah, you don't need to say that. Speaking of George Lucas, I feel like this shines through a lot. Luke talks about this a little bit with the sexism in the prequels, which are obviously all George Lucas. I mean, obviously he wrote the original trilogy too, but it's a very weird moment when everyone is angry, but Luke Skywalker specifically calls out Mala to smile, and it's like that does
I
not.
remember that.
That's not. That just is so weird.
Come on, Mala, give me a smile. Yeah, I thought the exact same
I was
thing.
like-
As soon as he said that, I was like, oh,
That also
no.
doesn't feel like something Luke Skywalker would say. Like you could tell other weirdies wrote it that are like, this is like they're imparting.
None of it felt like anything that they would say though, because none of
No.
it was relevant to the plot. Every time you saw one of the main Star Wars characters, it was literally just a FaceTime call of Mala just being like, "Hey, where's Chewie?" and then him just being like, "Oh, Chewie's not there yet. Oh, I'm sure he'll be there soon." Like that's it. They did not advance the plot at all. None of their appearances
Not
did
all-
anything.
Yeah,
But even those scenes are only a fraction of the total runtime. I was expecting those FaceTimes to
Yep.
take up like 20 minutes of the holiday special. They were like
30
minutes.
30
It-
seconds.
It was
Yep.
mostly all these other random bits, which we've been being very negative. It is Christmas and this is Star Wars and we try to be positive. What's one thing you guys like about this holiday special? I'll go first because you may need to think about it. I actually did quite like the bit with Mala with doing the cooking video. It went on a little
that's
bit
my
long.
least favorite part,
hated
my
that.
friend.
I thought that was funny when she kept having extra hands, and Mala was like, "What the hell? I don't have all these hands." that
The idea
that was
that
the only part that got a chuckle out of me.
I don't know if it was the drag or the blackface or what, but it was very off-putting to me.
Was that drag and blackface? That was a white male actor?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was. Yeah,
I did not realize that.
I can't forget his name, but he's a comedian.
I don't think it was actual blackface. I think it was like silver. Like I think there was
yeah.
supposed to be like spacey.
Yeah, they were an alien because they had 4 arms.
But on this TV
Yep.
or in this recording,
Yeah,
it just
it's-
looks like blackface.
When it's definitely crunched, like,
Yeah.
and the lighting is super dim, and also we're watching presumably all from. Did you watch the person who clearly recorded it from Dayton, Ohio?
yes.
Yes, because the Dayton.
No, that's
Because the
funny.
title says nice version.
Yes, it says nice version.
So you clicked on that one, like, oh,
yeah.
well, this
And
is
then
a nice one.
It's clearly on TV, and it's like, oh, from Dayton, Ohio, or whatever. It's like every hour or every half hour, like when it would come up. I was just like, oh,
so funny.
I've,
No, I
I've
did
seen
not.
this meme before, but someone said once that you can tell it's not good when Disney knows that the holiday special is on YouTube and just is okay with it.
I almost
Like
feel
they
like
don't copyright it and they
Yep.
don't want to take acknowledgement.
that's true.
That's funny. I never thought of that.
Part of me is like, are they gonna eventually have to sort of accept it in a weird way? Because like just looking at like Mandalorian, obviously that's where the what's it called comes from. Mando's like gun and stuff too, like his rifle. So I'm like, they are starting to take a lot of stuff. There's a couple other things that I noticed that I'm like, oh, they're just like taking it from there, which makes a lot of sense.
So
But like,
interestingly,
is that gonna have to happen?
there was the part that you're referring to is the animated segment. There's a
Oh,
part
yes.
where Chewie's son Lumpy watches TV again.
That's
and it's just
again. Think about this. We're watching a character watch TV. That is the holiday special.
But from a meta perspective, though, he was watching TV of Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, and Han on a mission for the rebellion. And
He
I'm
was
like,
watching a documentary.
yeah, was it a documentary? Was it like a
That's
reenactment?
funny.
I'm like, how does this within this universe? Like, how does this within the movie, the holiday special itself make sense, let alone within like the actual Star Wars
I
universe?
think the secret ingredient is cocaine.
That is. Well,
I think that's definitely true. But
Yeah.
to go back to what I was going to say, though, the only part of the holiday special that's actually ever since been re-released is the animated segment of the
Yeah.
holiday special. It was in the Skywalker Saga Blu-ray release or something like that, and it was just the animated portion of it. And it is significant because it is the first on-screen appearance of Boba Fett. This was in 1978. Empire came out in 80, so it was the first time that anyone saw that character. And he does have a lot of other things, like the rifle that he uses was later used to in The Mandalorian. It's
Yeah.
the big blaster that Mando uses and everything.
I was wondering how that was going to go down because I've seen like the still images and I know the history of like Boba Fett and I knew that he was introduced in the holiday special and I've seen the pictures of him as an animated character, but I always knew that the holiday special was a live action. And I was like, well, how are there 2 holiday specials? Is there one live action, one animated? And I was watching it and I was like, oh, it's just animated now.
Yeah,
And now it's
cocaine.
back to live action. Okay. So if you're also wondering, like I was 2 weeks ago, how they make that work, they just do it. It's just animated for a little bit, and the rest of it's live action. There's no real rhyme or reason, but that part is. So that's your favorite, Max, because we're trying to say something positive. You liked the Boba Fett bits.
If I had to choose, yes, I would say it would be the animated portion.
Same. That's what I said at the beginning. I feel like I've been a little bit
you
more
did.
positive too. So I do like the animation of that. And honestly, I feel like the whole thing could have been animated. Like it feels like that is a more rewarding and satisfying. Because you can do anything in animation. They're clearly stunted. You can still highlight voice actors, but for some reason they were like, no, we have to do live action. And it's again, you can just do more in animation, especially for that time. So it just felt like they were like, oh, let's introduce this giant weapon. Let's introduce this new character. I was also so confused. Like, I'm just like, is Boba Fett good in this version? Like, until
I thought so too.
because I'm just like, what is going on? And it's like, oh, he tricked him. And then he also has like the option to be able to open the Falcon wherever he wants and just fly up.
I didn't even think about that part.
He must have hit a button.
He also just like hits animals left and right, I feel like, in this. And also, what's funniest part was,
Yeah, that was just foreshadowing the fact that he is a villain.
yeah, and then everyone's like, oh, Chewie says he was bad the entire time. He's like, how did you know? He's like, oh, because he could literally smell him. Like, he smells bad.
Yeah, he smelled off or whatever. It's like that was the punchline. That's
My
how this is ending.
Sorry, that
Yeah.
Boba hitting the animal, that is just a thing with like older animation where all the smacks hit so much harder because they have to make the loud smack
Yeah.
and the body of the animal has to go like all the way from one side to all the way to the other.
Yeah.
And like in older animation, that's just how it always is. But like with our modern day sensibilities, like he is smacking this thing silly.
I think the writing is so weird in this. I know we've talked about cocaine was used heavily on this. Like they say, do you have your world famous Wookie Ookie? That sounds like a code name for sex. I don't know what that else would be. That sounds like a juggalo phrase, to be honest. Like Wookie Ookie?
There was there was a lot of weird things like that. Like they in one of the FaceTime calls, there was like a transmission or something that came up on the screen, and it just said something from the Wookiee planet C.
C. Yes,
And
I
it's
saw
like,
that.
just the Wookiee planet. Like they didn't even try to name it for this.
No.
But then somebody later said Kazook. So I was
Did they?
like, is that the name of this planet? He
That's
said
confusing.
something on the planet Kazook. So we
Yes.
don't know if that was supposed to be the Wookiee planet or if that was like a nearby planet and that's why they're cracking down on the nearby systems or something like that. But they did not say Kashyyyk.
That
There
makes
was
sense.
on screen it said Wookiee planet and another character at some point referred to a planet of Kazook.
My two favorite lines, and I just need to get this out here first because it's my favorite thing in the entire holiday special, which is when the Imperial Guard is in the shop, I guess, which looks like somebody's workbench in his shop, and randomly Mala calls, and for some reason this guy needs to like disguise like what's going on because the Imperial's in there, and I mean, class act writing when he's just like your rug is coming in, it's 4 planets away, doing terrible acting, and he's like, it was made by Han Solo, if you know what I mean.
I like
The
that part,
dumbest
too.
writing. Oh my god! I mean,
It was the dumbest, but unfortunately I had that in my pro column as well.
It is-
I was like, I guess I have to like that line.
I don't know. I don't know if
that
I've
would-
ever seen a worse written line. It was
that
made
was slick. He
it was-
got that message across.
hand in Han, or that's a stretch. Like if I was that guy, if I was that guard, I'd be like, the fuck is this guy talking about? He was made by Han Solo. Oh my god! Like, we got it. It's 4 planets away. It's so funny.
He didn't say Han though, he said Han. And
Did
I was
he?
like, oh, foreshadowing for Lando.
Yay! It was done on purpose. And my other line that I liked actually, which is I think a very Harrison Ford line, where he says, "Let's get off this galactic raindrop, teardrop." Fuck, what do you say? It's definitely raindrop. Yeah, let's get off this galactic raindrop. That's a fun line.
Yeah, that's cool.
There was a
No rain really on that, but
I saw a YouTube video on it afterwards of people discussing it and everything, and there was a person who pointed out that at the end of the film, when they're at the Life Tree celebrating Life Day, Han delivers a line, and he very clearly looks off to the side of the camera reading a cue card for his line, and then goes back to the scene.
I didn't notice that. That's hilarious.
That's the quality of that special, I think. I give him credit for doing it. Again, they're being smart in the fact that George Lucas, I feel like, also was like, since he has the toy rights, he's like, let's start going. Let's start making these things.
But then he very infamously, as soon as he saw it, realized what he had done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe he set out and he tried to buy every single master copy to make sure that no one ever saw this ever again. And he's like given multiple interviews where he's like, if I had the time and the resources, I would take a sledgehammer to every single copy of that special.
The only thing that he doesn't have in that scenario is probably a good back to actually take that sledgehammer to things, because he has the money, he has the time. It's one of those things, like, George Lucas confuses me as a person, because like even when he's just like, oh, I just make movies for me now, like at my home, I'm like, do you actually cast and write movies? There's no way.
He said that before?
Yes, he's just like, I make movies for me now. I was like, no, you don't. Like, just don't lie to me. You don't do anything. It's okay. Like,
That's weird.
What if he dies and like his estate releases like just 20 unreleased George Lucas films?
and they're all. I feel like they would unfortunately be more like the holiday special than anything else, because that is like his gut instinct, just with like, a lot of misogyny and Wookiees, I guess. That's
It'll be like his descent into madness, like those
what it feels like.
artists that go into insane asylums and you see like a self-portrait of
Yeah.
them every year for 9 years, and by the end it's just like 2 squiggle lines. That would be George Lucas's final movie. Oh, that's sad. I hope not. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Or all of our holiday specials for Halloween, for Thanksgiving, very unhinged, and they all focus around. I feel like death, or Max talking about people eating people, or something, like cannibalism. Like our Thanksgiving episode was just cannibalism talk.
But that was such a fascinating conversation.
Yeah,
though.
and
How
that's
does
not what it was
cannibalism
meant to
work?
be.
Our editor cut way too much of that too. I went into way deeper detail.
Yeah, we gotta fire that guy.
One more thing about the holiday special that I liked was the musical in the cantina. I did not like the 2 music videos, but it was the 70s. It's my understanding that there was a time when there was a whole channel on cable TV dedicated to music television,
Oh my
and they would
God.
just show music videos. So whatever, it was the time. That's what people wanted. Whatever, put 2 music videos in
That
your
was like-
special, George.
6 years
So-
prior to MTV.
So
It's a good joke, though. I'm sorry.
the musical bit on the cantina, that was good. That was a good song. They brought back all those aliens that were all the
Yep.
same costumes. I liked that part too.
The one was really sexual though. I feel like he was about to like pole dance a bit. He was like smacking that pole machine.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
Yep. Cocaine, the 70s, George
Yep.
Lucas. There's some sexual bits in the
Yeah.
holiday special that are definitely teetering on the edge of too uncomfortable.
And that whole scene started with that guy in the cantina hitting on B. Arthur very aggressively.
Yes. But then also he drinks out of his head. That's so weird.
No, that was cool.
I
No,
really-
it was
I like
weird.
that.
For me, that
Because
was like
he was still human. Like he was otherwise.
He's not human though. They drink into the top of their head.
But other than
Alien.
it also just felt like being weird for weird's sake. Like, and also there's like that giant rat in the booth
yes,
of B. Arthur.
just a literal rat.
I'm just like, this is clearly left over from some sort of move that just wrapped filming. It was just on set, like, which is kind of what in New Hope that cantina is full of. I feel like too. Just like, oh, what masks do we have around? But the B. Arthur moment, like that segment went on for a very long time. I'm
Every
just like,
segment went on for a very long time.
Yes.
You can't fault all of them individually.
that's
for it.
that's true. That even,
Watch me.
specifically, I was just. Specifically, I was like, "Oh, B. Arthur. Okay, I enjoy her. I'm excited to see her be
Who-
funny."
Who is B. Arthur?
She's Dorothy on Golden Girls. She also played
Oh.
in Maude. Is it Maude? Oh man, I can't think. It's All in the Family. She plays in that spinoff too.
It's Monk.
Yeah,
you're
that's
thinking of
it.
the show
Tony
Monk?
Shalhoub. Yeah.
Was
Toby
she in Monk?
Shalhoub.
Yeah. 13 Ghosts?
Did I say Toby?
No, I think I said Shalom too, not Shalhoub. So,
Just on the mind.
It's the season.
yeah.
So you guys didn't like that part? That bums me out. I thought we would be able to bond
I-
over that. That music was good. That was a nice.
It was hard to enjoy it because it was all the same costumes and characters from the original Cantina scene, but all I could keep thinking about was how this is like supposed to be in universe. Like this okay, so
all those people are back this day.
no, to back up a little bit.
That's true too, though.
The Chewie's family is waiting for Chewie in their house. Stormtroopers and an Imperial officer come in saying, "Hey, there's suspected rebel activity in the area. We need to search your house." And then a message comes on the TV that says, "Attention, everyone! You have to watch this now." And so it's like a live feed, and I'm just like, this isn't like another TV episode that they're watching. This is like an actual like a live feed of something that's going on in this universe, which also doesn't make sense. Panda Baba was there, and he had his hands. Greedo was there, very much alive, and
Would you shit yourself if there was a Bossk cameo, and so in the Duel of the Fates, it was just referencing that? Because they send out that wide message in Duel of the Fates.
it would shock me because everything else was very clearly just all the same people from the original Cantina scene that they just, like you said, they clearly had it left over from A New Hope. So they were like, oh, let's just put these back on. But it really speaks highly to the visual effects of A New Hope because it looked horrible.
Yeah, it did.
And that's all I kept thinking. I was like, these are the exact same costumes. I know they are. Why do they look so bad?
I think it's the camera, the lighting, the fact that it probably was done over a weekend. There's a random line that the guy's just like, "I hate fish," when he's shopping in that guy's store. Why is that in there? When they're like, "You can have this mini," I think that's
Because
the
it was a
thing.
mini fish tank.
Yes, and which I feel like, and they held on for a long time, and I feel like they really just wanted to show you the effects they could do, which again
Yes.
were impressive for the time. But he's just like, "I hate fish." That's it. Like, what? I don't even know if cocaine was involved in that scene. I just don't think they wrote anything, and they were just like, "Riff." The guy's just like, I don't like fish.
It seems like you, Max, are having a hard time dissociating from the canonicity of it all. Have you seen the Disney holiday special, the Lego holiday special that they released 2 or 3 years ago on Disney Plus?
No, but I think I've heard about it from you. I think you said it was funny.
Yeah, I saw it and I quite like it. Have you seen it, Matt?
I have not, but we will be watching it next year.
Yes, so I won't get into too many details, but spoiler alert, broad strokes, they're made of Legos. Is that going to bother you that all these characters that you know and love are all of a sudden made of Legos, or are you going to be able to dissociate that the holiday special is a different brand of canon and that it's not exactly
Is
in
the holiday
universe?
special? Is the Lego holiday special canon?
No, they're Lego. They time travel and
that's-
go and
that's- then it
bring
doesn't
all
bother
the
me.
characters from every era.
It doesn't.
into
It doesn't
the-
bother me that Clone Wars or Rebels or Bad Batch are canon. Like I can get over the fact that it's just in a different medium, but it still has to coexist. The stories still have to make sense within itself. Like
The
how are they
story
watching
did-
reality TV of this cantina with these people who are dead and armless?
That's fair. The Lego holiday special, the story is nonsensical. It is not a canon story, very clearly. And I guess we can wait till next year to talk about it more. But holiday specials
Tune
are
in.
able to
Only 52 more episodes, folks.
holiday specials can exist in a time and place outside of the exact canon universe.
Yeah, it's like,
and still exist for our benefit.
It's like the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. They're fun little one-off episodes for Halloween.
Is that like how there's?
Does no one watch?
You clearly lost us with
I
that
don't watch
reference.
Simpsons, but I have seen a couple Simpsons shorts that are Star Wars. Is it like those? Have you seen those Star Wars shorts?
Possibly. I'm trying to
like-
think of which one you're talking about.
I forget where they show it. I want to say they show it like before a movie, but I don't know why I've seen it. Or I think they just released it on Disney Plus for May the 4th one year.
Oh, they
But it
do
was,
have those.
um,
Yes, but no, that's not what I'm talking
it
about.
was
But
silent.
yeah. No, they every year they have a Halloween special. It's just like they just do 3 mini horror stories, kind of like Twilight Zone, basically. But yeah, again, like it doesn't affect the rest. Nothing. It's a cartoon, so nothing affects it. Bad example. Move on.
My least favorite part, not because of anything having to do with the holiday special, but I will preface you with a story. I went to a Star Wars trivia this past year, and it was awful trivia. I try to go to as much trivia as I can, and I really like it. Some are better than others. This one was atrocious. There were 30 questions. First place got 30 out of 30. Second place got 30 out of 30. Third place got like 29 out of 30. And, well, not even, because it was all out of 29, because they threw out one question because it was disproven or something. But it was too easy.
Was
it was
it-
bad
is-
trivia, and the moderator specifically said that every question was coming from the Skywalker saga. So no TV shows, no animation, and
Yeah.
everyone was bummed, but whatever. Which was another thing that led to it being too easy. But one of them was who said it, and it was the quote from the holiday special that is not the Skywalker saga, and I got it wrong because I thought I put Bail Organa because it was the quote that Leia says at the end, which is a nice quote. She says, "No matter how different we appear, we're all the same in our struggle against the powers of evil and darkness." And that's a decent quote, and
It is.
one of the better lines written for the holiday special. But when I saw it, my mind just went white with rage because
Yeah.
that was such an injustice done to me. And I thought it was Bail
So they-
Organa that said that in Revenge of the Sith when they land with the Chancellor and he says something
So you
similar
guys-
to that in morality. But
You guys said that wasn't from the Skywalker saga, and they threw it out, and it was just out of 29 questions.
no, that wasn't the question they threw out. They threw out a different question. That was, you want to know
So
the one that,
they kept that question.
they kept that question, and it was
Yeah.
bullshit. The one that they threw out was, oh shoot, I don't know if I remember it off the top of my head now, but I did then. It was, what does Obi-Wan or what does Qui-Gon say is Anakin's midi-chlorian count? And I pulled, and I can't do it now, and I'm going to get it wrong and sound stupid on pod, but I think like 25 million or 25,000, excuse me. And I wrote down 25,000, and the correct answer was over 25,000, and she didn't give it to me, which is bullshit because that's a specific number, and I'm not just guessing 25,000. But because it's Obi-Wan that says that line instead of Qui-Gon, she threw it out entirely, and I would have gotten that point.
sounds
and
like
most other people would not have.
User error on her
interesting.
part.
It was all user error on her part. I don't want to get into this too much because it makes me
Name
so
names.
angry.
Where was I at? What were their names?
That actually upsets me too. They definitely should have thrown that second question out as well. If it was brought up, if somebody said, "Hey, just so you know, that's from the holiday special. That's objectively not the Skywalker saga."
I like trivia confuses me, to be honest, because I feel like going to social events, usually there's a unified goal. When you go to a concert, you're all going for the same reason. When you go to trivia, there are levels of people who are going to trivia, right? You have people that are really into it, or you have, like, when I go, I feel like I'm very laissez-faire about it. And I'm just like,
You're part of the just for fun crowd.
exactly. And that's the thing, is that there should be levels, like bowling leagues. There's levels, right? You don't just go. It's just like, oh, you can't like go if you're going against like a pro bowler and you just want to go for like a game at the lanes, very different. I bowled for 9 years. Anyway, honestly, one of my last things about this whole holiday special is I love that they're just like, well, Carrie Fisher is Debbie Reynolds' daughter, so she should sing. Like,
That was a condition. Apparently,
Was
Carrie
it?
Fisher asked. Yeah,
Right.
she said she wanted to sing in it.
yep, it makes so much sense because I feel like realistically, if you're Carrie Fisher, it's like one of her it's her first breakout role. Her mom was a famous movie actress known for singing, and so I feel like she's probably like, I don't want to get shoehorned into just doing the sci-fi stuff. So like it's almost like an audition tape. I felt like
Yeah.
that she's just like, I'm gonna do this 3-minute song.
That's funny.
And then that way, once Star Wars ends, I can do something else.
That was another part that I liked because I knew that her mom was a singer, Debbie Reynolds, but I never really heard Carrie Fisher sing. But she started singing, and I was like, "Oh shit, she's
Yeah.
really good."
There was a panel with her like 30 years later where someone asked her a question about the holiday special, and she said that she still remembered that song, and she sang like a couple lines from it, and people were going crazy. And I thought that was really funny that she still
That is
remembered
very funny.
the
That's
words.
crazy.
But let's talk about that for a second though, because a couple episodes ago we did an episode where we pitched ideas for a new trilogy, and a large part of Luke's pitch had to do with a planet that was a musical planet and can only talk by singing, or can only communicate by singing. And for the record, let's just say that was actually discussed and I believe released prior to the Marvels coming out, because that was a
Yes.
planet in the Marvels as well. And as soon as Luke saw it, he texted me and he was like, I don't believe this.
Yeah, that blew my mind. It was almost exactly as I described it, and I was so happy. It made me like the Marvels a whole lot more, and it was really cool. It's like one of the best parts of the Marvels. It was so fun and wacky, and the music was good.
But part of that pitch was because you were like, oh, they can use like some of the original music from Star Wars and basically add lyrics to it. And that's exactly what Princess Leia's song was. Did you notice that it was the main theme to Star Wars? Like the music was playing behind
Oh
her.
my god, no, I didn't. But I was even thinking
Same.
about how that's why I like the Cantina song, because it was the Cantina band
Yeah.
song that they added lyrics to. Man, maybe this is why I like the holiday special so much
No,
more than you guys.
you don't need to Stockholm syndrome yourself into liking it.
My expectations were just so low, and my current feelings on old movies and TV, like a lot of this stuff, I was just watching it and I was like, well, it was the 70s. This is how bad TV was in the 70s. What do you
No,
want
God,
from
it
me?
wasn't.
Great Acres and Happy Days. Going back to Luke's pitch real quick, and also just to plug ourselves, go listen to the pitch episode. 'Cause,
It was a good one, yeah.
yeah, we liked it. But my friend Robert Kane, who listens, who we have to have on at some point, he texted me. He's like, Luke's still my favorite, but I would not be watching his trilogy.
Oh, yes, he would. He would love it. The music would be too catchy. It's hard to really pitch a musical without any sort of tune or musical ideas.
Yeah,
But
well, let's-
anyone would
let's-
like a musical so long as the music's good enough.
Well, let's riff for a second. What do you got?
Oh, yeah, drop a beat. Our producer's waving us along because she's heard me freestyle before.
I wanted to point out how the stormtroopers were holding their blasters. That bother anyone else?
Yes, they were gripping it by the ammo capacity magazine.
Yeah.
That was weird.
And there's multiple stormtroopers, and they were all doing
It's
that.
not just weird. It's distinctly different from A New Hope.
That's
Why did
because-
you do it different?
That's because all of these people are literally probably crackheads on the street that they were like, we have no budget. The budget has been spent on cocaine. We're talking JVCD cocaine budget here. We need to get anybody who can be in this. And I feel like they literally got like crackheads to be the stormtroopers, because I feel like the suits were ill-fitting as well. I don't know. I feel like
they're sitting there. They're going to be in full body armor. There's no way they can mess up this performance.
I know, I
then
feel
they
like-
pick up the blaster and they're like, "Oh my god!"
I felt like they casted the guy who hits his head in A New Hope. I feel like they casted his whole family. Like that is who that. It's like the Dum Dums. Like I don't know.
The entire movie just felt like it was made by people who are pretty sure they had seen Star Wars.
Yes, pretty sure.
And that's how I felt about the animation,
Yeah.
too, for the animated portion. Like, someone saw Star Wars 10 years ago and tried to draw them by memory.
I also feel like this is when it's again, I saw this a couple of years ago. Maybe we were in college, Max. I'm surprised we didn't watch this together. But a couple of years ago, it was like 10 years ago. But when I watched it, like I don't remember the time. Again, I don't remember watching it maybe in full. So this is the first time I watched it in full. Like, sit down like we said earlier. But when I thought it was like, oh, it's the holiday special. It's not that long. But my God, like an hour
just
and
kept
40,
going.
it just kept going. I don't know why I brought that up. I felt like it circled back to something. I'm just gonna be angry when I edit this later. But my God, I did
you
not
wanna-
expect it to be so long.
Did you want to bring up the ad for General Motors that it started with? You think General Motors is mad about this?
I was-
they got
I
to
was-
sponsor a Star Wars project and they saw it and they were like, "What the hell did you spend my money on?"
Sales immediately declined.
That is the last thing I wanted to bring up, is that I feel bad for the Incredible Hulk fans. They were just like, in the beginning, they were like, we will not be showing the Incredible Hulk tonight. Time we'll be showing the Star Wars Holiday Special, brought to you by GM.
And then the last thing that I had in my notes that we didn't talk about yet was at the very end when they were celebrating Life Day at the Tree of Life. There was just a very weird montage scene that Chewbacca had, just remembering the events of just A New Hope.
Yep, because there's nothing.
And it really just reminds you how little he was in that movie.
Yeah.
Like not directly sharing the or not directly sharing the shot with
Yeah.
Han Solo or anyone else, because it was really just like 4 shots of him.
My favorite one was just the shot of Alec Guinness looking at camera, like looking away. It's just like, what?
Yeah. It was very weird. As soon as it started too, I was like, "What's this going to be a montage of?" There was one movie,
And it was so long. It was so remember
Yeah.
long. Again, can't fault it for each segment being.
they really stretched it out. And another fun fact: when they were celebrating Life Day and they were wearing those red robes, apparently that was a budget issue. They didn't want to make Wookiee costumes for all those people, so they just made the hands and heads, and they just said, "All right, cover them with
That
red
makes
robes."
sense.
And I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
"Okay, that I get that."
I feel like that's a spite thing. Then George Lucas, 2 movies later, were like, "Oh no, they're making those costumes."
Just miniature.
Yes.
Like George, just so you know that is a serious budget concern. Like, all right, just make them small.
Didn't you almost
Call
have a
him-
heart attack, George? Like twice now? Why are you doing this to yourself? He's like, I make movies for me.
All right. Does anyone else have any final notes on the holiday special? Overall, not good in my mind. Glad I watched it. Don't recommend it, but it's a fun way to celebrate Christmas. It's definitely different from what we normally do.
Yeah.
It was
We both were like, it's a weird thing. It's like I would love this to be a yearly Christmas watch. Like every year I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on Thanksgiving. Like I wish it was something like that. Because again, what we talked about a while ago was like for some reason when I think of Star Wars, I think about the holidays and how I want to watch it. Maybe it's because I have an extended amount of time, or maybe it's because I want Star Wars things for Christmas, or to buy Star Wars things for people for Christmas. And it just, man, it just I don't know the next time next time I watch this is when we'll do a second review on it.
I can't believe that I would ever watch this again. I would watch it again, even though it was so bad, if it was just more of like a holiday movie. But like it didn't have any sort of tropes or plot points or anything that you see in holiday films. Like there wasn't like a
Got to make it
I
home
didn't-
for the holidays.
I didn't
what
see
do you mean?
but
I
that
didn't
was
see
it. There
Macaulay
wasn't-
Culkin once.
There wasn't like, we need to decorate the life tree and Chewbacca isn't here and he always puts the star on top. Like nothing like that.
Can you imagine if that was a story?
That would be so much better.
Man,
and it's like,
Lumpy.
oh, Lumpy's Christmas pageant is this afternoon, and Chewbacca's not going to make it home for that. But I hope he comes. I hope he makes it in time for the actual celebration. Like anything like that, any sort of actual holiday
yeah.
plot points.
Maybe
for the
that's what they
film.
were saying, and we just heard all the grumbles and growls of Shriwook.
But you know what's funny is that I swear this is the last thing. But like, usually we see things from the other perspective. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's the exact same story, kind of, but you see it from the interesting perspective, not the people waiting around at home. In this one, you see the people waiting around at home, waiting for the person who's doing the cool mission, and you see 2 seconds of the cool mission.
But when you see the people at home in these holiday films, like Jingle All the Way, it's like, oh, like I said, like he's not here to put the star on the tree. Now we have to have somebody else do it. Like all these things, like those are like very classic.
That's true.
just
But you-
Christmas movie tropes.
But you don't focus on those characters. There's those people are in it for 3 minutes, and then the cool adventure is the thing you
Correct.
focus
Yes.
on. It's like, oh man, it's just so. Anyway, I could go on.
Well, thank you for listening. We love the holiday time and we love Star
Yes.
Wars. We wish that there was more of a natural inclusion of the two together.
Next year.
Does anyone have any force for thought for today?
I do have a force for thought in honor of Life Day.
Oh, he's pulling out a bag.
That was Max's butt, for the record, not his chair.
No, that was the chair. I got some presents.
Thank you, Max.
Toys, baby.
God, this podcast is Toy Central. You know.
Oh, yeah. We got a Saw Gerrera.
Oh, wait. Flip those.
Oh, Matt, I got you a Saw Gerrera.
Luke. I was carefully taking these out. Oh, look, a Saw Gerrera.
I got a Palpatine.
I feel like I do a Saw Gerrera impression quite often. I cannot think of how I do it now.
If you continue to fight.
It's yeah, but it's more grumbly. It's like more in the back of your throat.
That's a Saw Gerrera impression
There we
from
go.
the Rogue One trailer that
All
was
the
cut from
Dengar.
the movie.
What?
My Saw Gerrera impression
Oh,
is
you're
from
yeah.
not from the movie itself.
I brought Dengar a lot. I feel like in the past couple episodes. So this phase makes me
That's
very happy.
awesome. I got a Palpatine and a Princess Leia Bausch disguise. Now that it's
Does the helmet
literally
come off?
in my hand, do you say Bausch or Bosch or Bosch? Bouche.
I say Bausch.
I would not say Boosh.
What do you say? Bausch then?
I would say Bausch.
I'm
Does the
excited.
helmet come off though?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's got
that's
a
cool.
good face mold too. The
That's cool.
more modern face mold of Leia because the original ones from like the 2016 sucked. Wow, thank you so much, Max. I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Yeah, a lot of the toy groups that I'm a part of on Facebook always talk about Ollie's being such a great place to find toys. And Luke, you recently pointed one out in Columbus. So I was like, I got to give that a shot. So I was able to go and find some.
Oh, love
I'm
it.
so excited. These are both the legacy, or I'm sorry, archive collection where they rebox Black Series toys to re-release them, and this Palpatine gets a lot of flack because the original had Sith lightning with it,
And
so
an
all
actual
the
throne too. It came with a chair.
and
Whoa.
an actual throne, which is really cool. But the Sith lightning would have been easy enough to include in this, and a lot of fans are real mad about that. But
Can I see that one?
they can just relax, you know. It's a toy. Make your own Sith lightning.
You know, I actually
Pose them
don't.
with the cane.
I don't like the toys that come with like 6 different pairs of hands that like
I
in slightly
agree.
different shapes. It's like,
Oh, no,
how,
I
how
love
am I going to
those.
display all those?
I love the idea of it, but like
You got to
I have-
rotate it.
I just
Where,
I have,
where do you keep them when you're not
that's
using them?
My biggest problem is I have just like toy bins in my basement and just a baggie full of them, and it's just like what goes with what. I have like 3 Jokers. It's very confusing.
I am
But
so
thank you,
excited for these.
Maxwell.
Thank you so
I know.
much.
You should do more Force for Thoughts. On a clerical side, real quick, that we should clear up as well. We are taking a week break in between Christmas and the New Year.
Yeah, so next week we will not be releasing an episode. Catch us in the new year. Luke, myself, will be having Rogue One on a comic series that I've been really looking forward to, and we'll have full weekly schedules like normal in 2024, but nothing next week. Enjoy Christmas, time with your family, watch Star Wars a little bit extra.
Yeah, and don't listen to us or listen
No.
to backlog episodes.
listen to us. Just don't have to watch the holiday special if you don't want to.
Do you guys have any New Year's resolutions? Just
Oh,
something I didn't think
man.
about.
I usually don't do resolutions,
Do
but
you have any New Year's resolutions for Force for Thought then?
I want to get video up and going. In all of 2024, we could do something with video.
Yeah, we're hoping to get video going.
Yeah.
A
All right.
lot of logistics that we're trying to figure out.
Catch us
with
at some
it,
point in
but,
2024 in
Yeah.
3D.
4D. The trick is getting the smell.
Yeah.
But anyways, you can follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and you can email us at forceforthought@gmail.com. Send us any of your thoughts, questions, anything that you have.
Shout out Joel Cotter. I think that's his name.
I think so too.
All right, I'm gonna
He
cut these
emailed
out.
us.
Yes. We've been getting emails. We'll start doing fan email things. Ask us questions. See you, Sammy.